Hey.
Yeah, thank you, Marcelo. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, welcome everybody. As you've heard, my name is Lucas Borak. I'm the presenter today. Today we are going to look at, I apologize, I think on the right bottom corner you can see a square, but I cannot hide it, I cannot minimize it, nothing is there. I'm not sure why, so apologies for that. So that was before we start, but in the agenda today we are going to look first how to access the release guides, where they are available, and then we are going to look at the release in this Q3 2019, which means the August release for sourcing, contracts, supply management, so it means SLP and risk. At the end of today, we are going to do also poll as always, Q&A. We can stop at the beginning, so not at the beginning, between these modules, and then at the end when we have time for your questions. There's a reminder at the bottom of this screen that not all features are enabled by default. Those which are marked in red text need to be activated as a feature. So you need to contact Ariba support, or you need to also enable, customers can also enable some of the features. But some of them are available without any actions needed. So first, how we access the release guides. One place is Connect, for those who have access to Connect. For those who do not have access to Connect, or you just want to find the documentation directly in the user interface when you use SAP Ariba sourcing, contracts, and so on the top right-hand corner, when you click on Help and select Help Center, in the pop-up window, you can go into Learning Center, and in the product documentation, you see the release guides for these last quarters. So that's where you find the PDF documents with details, what feature it is, described, change in the user interface, how to enable that, if it's available for you right away, or you need to contact Ariba customer support to enable that. So that's if you get lost or you need more information, of course, you can contact Best Practice Center as well. Where is it? What do we need to do? You can contact me or our team as well. So we go to the first package, and that's the release for SAP Ariba sourcing. We do have several features available here. One is the category attribute hierarchy question management user interface. So of course, customers who do use the category attribute hierarchy, so this makes sense to pay attention. For those who do not have it, it's good to understand. Maybe you can think of enabling this whole feature. So this feature, category attribute hierarchy question management, allows you to create category attribute hierarchy questions on a category attribute management user interface page. So there is a new look of the category attribute management, and which is easier to use nowadays. This feature is automatically on for customers using the category attribute hierarchy. And you must have the following permissions: category attribute admin, sourcing authorized, and CM admin. What it means is that now when you go to the administration area, manage administration, you do have the category attribute manager. You previously were only able to work with the load the attribute categories, but now you have the category attribute management with some tiles, buttons to work on, which is the load attribute category, audit, category integration status, article master data, and so on, and questions which we are going to talk about. Right, so we have the new look and features, and we can also create questions. So the questions in the category attribute hierarchy can be created here manually. So when you add items from the selected categories to a sourcing event, the questions are added to the event automatically based on the on this hierarchy. So this can be created, and you specify also to which section to an existing section, or it's going to create a new section in the sourcing event, which is possible to do. The other is the configuration of custom fields for article master. So also this is available for customers using the category attribute hierarchy. This feature allows organizations to define their own custom fields to be sent to SAP Ariba, which can be used to filter searches for articles in article master data. So before, it was allowed to have only specific fields associated with an article. But there was a need to have more or specific fields, and now which can be then sent to an SAP Ariba. So this feature allows you to define your own custom fields to be sent to SAP Ariba. The custom fields for articles are created as article extensions in article master files. These can be added in article master SOAP files, which are sent from an ERP system to your SAP Ariba solution through the SAP Ariba Cloud Integration Gateway, or in an XML file, which is then uploaded directly in your SAP Ariba solution. So the integration, ERP integration, is the recommended method, but it's also possible to load. Again, as I said already, that's only possible for customers if you use the category attribute hierarchy already. Well, so that was the questions, we had the fields, and now there's also a new feature in the category attribute hierarchy, and that's the sections that can be added. So in this feature allows the buyer administrator to declare sections in a category attribute hierarchy XML file that will appear in the sourcing event. And they can add questions to specific sections within the XML file. So it allows administrators to group questions so that it is easier for suppliers to review and answer them in the user interface. So not only question, 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 but they can be organized in sections as we are used to do when the events are created, I don't know, manually or with Excel import and so on. So now including the category attributes hierarchy. Once a section has been added through XML upload, that section cannot be deleted from the database. So I'm reading now the last paragraph on the slide with the restrictions. So when it is added, it cannot be deleted, but it can be changed, it can be renamed, and so on, but it cannot be deleted. So in case you would like to rename it, you need to re-upload the XML file. Here it is an example of the sections to add questions from the release guide. In this example, we are adding question grading of cotton fiber to a certain section. And then it is going to appear when I go to the next slide. It's going to appear in the event, right? So based on the setting, the question grading of cotton fiber gets into the appropriate section. So when we add an item from category attribute hierarchy to a sourcing event, if that item has questions associated with it, and if those questions are associated with a section in the XML file, the questions are listed under that section on the Contents tab of the sourcing event. Right, so this was the 1, 2, 3 features linked to category attribute hierarchy. And now there's another 3 features, and now we have assigned multiple values to different metrics items. So This is for everybody. There's no restrictions who cannot use metrics items. This feature provides user interface improvements to allow you to easily create and remove line items based on metrics vectors. Changes were made to the user interface for editing a matrix in sourcing events that include line items that contain matrix terms. When you select line items in a sourcing event and then select Edit Matrix, you see the Define Matrix page. Previously, you saw the initial values for the matrix vectors here, and you could add and remove vectors, but you could not control how they were applied to items. Also, renaming them was clumsy with export import. Now you can not rename directly, but you would be able to add matrix and delete those which you do not need, because you can delete them. The feature is on by default and enabled for all customers. Maybe just a small reminder how to use matrix items I will show in my short demo. We have an example here. You had an event to source 2 items, pens and pencils, and the event contained a matrix term called region that had 5 matrix vectors: US, UK, Germany, India, and China. In this situation, 10 line items were added to the sourcing event, 1 each for pens, pencils in each of those countries. But what if you did not want to source pens from the UK and Germany, and you did not want to source pencils from India and China? Previously, the only way to remove these items was to scroll through the list of the items in the sourcing event and delete the ones that you didn't want. So now we have okay, not here. So let me stop sharing, pause sharing, and I will log in. I will log in. It's better here. I got disconnected with inactivity. Right. So I'm going to resume sharing. Right. I have one when I create an sourcing event, RFP, typically RFP, auction, it's possible as well, where we have a request, matrix pricing. Matrix pricing, I only called the RFP matrix pricing, but there's nothing that we need to do in the setup of the template. The only thing is when I create a line item, and I call it what we had, pens, I scroll down, I was playing around, I will delete this one. And I think I need to have 100 pieces. Historic is 1. It's mandatory in this one. I'm going to use these matrix terms, and we said we want to have something what is called region. So how to do that for those who have never worked with matrix? Add term, and I will call it. I will create a new term called region, and to be able to see matrix, you see here, is this matrix term? No, I cannot change it because it is possible to work on matrix terms only when it is response required, owner required, and we do have here answer type is text. Right, now I have the matrix term, I change it to yes, and I always put there the initial value which we put there, what, Germany? I believe we have Germany. And I click on OK. So I have here region Germany. So suppliers are going to give me price for a pencil for thinking it's a region for region Germany. I click on done. So still the old way of doing that, no difference. If I want to add additional terms, or if I want to multiply it, if I want to add additional regions, what we had, Germany, France, UK, America, Hong Kong, or what, then I'm going to add, I'm going to select my pens, edit matrix. I believe the page is still the same. I'm going to select matrix. This is already new, right? So if you remember, how it looked before. There was no Germany option, pens, regions, and next to Germany, I'm going to put there also what we had: France. It was not in the example. Hong Kong, and we put there USA. Yeah. I need to click on refresh. So this is how it works. We have these terms, and it was not possible before. So before it was always Germany, France, Hong Kong, USA, but not. I could not select, for example, not USA. I can add. I don't have any line items, but if I click on add, you see that I'm going, and I don't have any line items. So in case I would like to have also pencils. So I click on apply. I'm going to create another line item, which would be pencils. Of course. And I put the region. Maybe I can put there just something that I can see clearly. It's a nonsense. And when I click on OK, done. And I can go to my pens or somewhere, and I edit the matrix. I will be able to select my pens, pencils, and add my regions there for all the regions, right? Of course, this was only a placeholder, so I can delete it. It was not. So I have only now my regions. When I refresh, then we have the possibility to decide which regions are displayed, not displayed to the supplier in this matrix. So it's very helpful. Big improvement for those who work on matrix terms. Just there was another. Sorry. Let me go back. There was another area, available view matrix. Let me put there both. And regions. Of course, we don't need to have only regions. It can be additional terms, and I can also view the matrix. So it gives me an overview what I am going to publish. Now, for those who have never worked with matrix, I will show you what it looks like for a supplier when I click on Actions and View as one of the suppliers. So this is what it looks like for the suppliers. It's very neat, nice, understandable screen when I have the pens, Germany, France, Hong Kong, and I do not use Hong Kong for pencils, so that's why I see only these two regions. And suppliers give me price for per piece in this case. For me, on my screen, it looks a little bit ugly, but for my suppliers, it will look nice. So this is this feature in sourcing. I do have in the presentations, I will send you later today, you have also screenshots what it means. And if you search for matrix, if you have not worked with it before, you will find documentation under help. Right. In the sourcing, but also in contracts, there's something in the approval task, but I have it in the presentation under contracts. So this is done. Maybe I can stop here and ask you if you have any questions here in the topic of sourcing. There is a question if it's possible to have different historical price for each region. No. So we have only one field as it's initial price, one field for reserve price, one field for historic price. For these matrix, so it's not possible. Okay. I don't see any. I don't see any other questions, so we can move to contracts. So in the release for contract, yes?
I do have some questions that came in, though.
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible to have different historical price for each region on one item?
I think I have just answered.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. And so can you show an example? I didn't question.
But thank you for confirmation.
Okay. Okay, go on.
Okay, thank you. Right. So the next topic area would be SAP Ariba contracts. We have, for customers using the contract line item document, CLID, we have here a feature which is display the error messages from ERP in SAP Ariba contracts. With this feature, SAP Ariba contracts displays the details of errors occurring on the ERP for outline agreement creation requests. So the workspace history contains a link to a new page that displays the success or failure result of the request and the reason for failure, if any. So on the contract workspace history tab, we would be able to see some errors if the creation of the outline agreement in ERP did not succeed or succeeded. Okay. I don't have any screenshot for that. We have also a feature which is also linked to CLID functionality, notify buyers about the expiry of the price validity of line items. This is possible, this feature, to use only when we have a line item which is set as allow pricing condition yes. So if we have allow pricing condition in the line item in the CLID set to yes, allow pricing is pricing condition is yes. Sorry, I was reading but thinking about the third bullet point. Sorry, we have the CLID, that's a prerequisite. Then the other prerequisite is allow pricing conditions, yes. And the third is that there must be at least one item which is monetary term, and it is set at term to pricing conditions. Is set to yes. So this then allows you to specify the number of days before the expiry of the contract line item pricing validity, when the contract owner must be notified, so that the pricing validity information can be renewed. So as we know, in the contract line items can expire now, and we can be notified about that. So this notification or this information helps the buyer renew the pricing validity for those contract line items before their pricing validity expires. Then the next or other feature is allow amendments as an amendment type option for contract workspaces in expired status. So there's nothing that you need to enable. It's available for everybody. So now you can create a full or normal amendment to directly to contracts which are in expired status. Before August 2019, you had to do a workaround to do that, right? It was not possible to have the option to create the amendment. So you had to go to administrative amendment first, change the expiration date, and then publish, and then go to the amendment. So now the amendment type is available in the amendment contract page for contracts in expired status. And you can update the expiration date and publish the contract immediately without having to first create administrative amendment. So very simple. I do have here contracts I have here one expired contract. So for those who have not worked with that before, So it's not nothing unusual probably, but you see this contract is in expired status. I click on Actions, amend the contract, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So this is now possible with the release. So big help, big help. We also have the feature to print the contract task approval history. It is not only available in contracts, it's also available in sourcing or with any approval task, I believe. I have not looked in other places, but it's in contract and in sourcing. We'll see if it's, I have not checked other, but if it's a task, it should be available. The task tab in a project contains new option, export to PDF. So you can export the summary of the task approval to a PDF, and optionally you can print it out or send it per email, not directly, of course, safe, and then attach to an email, or archive it, or print it out. The exported PDF contains the task name, task owner, status of the approval, date, and comments. So when I go into the, in my projects, where I wanted to go here maybe, contract request, I hope this is the one which has some, this one is an approval. When I go into the task, I'm not very good, I'm overdue with the task. When I go into the task details, is this one, yeah. So I can see that in the approval, it's approval task. In the approval flow, I can see John has approved, and now it's pending with test user 1 on the task history. I can see approved. Okay, it was approved. Sorry, it was approved by Apurva. If I want to print out the approval details and comments and who has approved, I need to go to the task history. I click on this icon, which looks like a calendar, table options menu, and the very last option, I can see it here, download PDF. I don't have many comments here, not many approvers, but we can see that this is the name of the contract. It's a contract request. We have the ID of the task, name of the task, and it's round 1. John Smith sent, and Apurva approved on the 10th of October at 4:20 with a comment approved. That's her. That's comment from her. Okay, I can download, archive, print out, as we do with PDF. So let me go back. So this feature allows users to print the contract task approval, but also sourcing approval in the task. Then we have display the document envelope status on signature task in SAP Ariba contract. So this is of course possible with customers using the DocuSign signature task, and this feature allows the sender of contract documents to view the document envelope status on signature task in the contract workspace itself without logging into DocuSign. Now the owners of contract documents can see the document signing status by each signer in the contract workspace itself in an overlay window when they hover over the status column next to the signature task. And there's a note as well, the availability of the updated document signing status depends on the refresh interval of the signature task. The default refresh interval is 120 minutes. Okay. I've not prepared any demonstration for this feature. Maybe before we go to supply management and risk, I can pause sharing and ask if there are any questions.
There hasn't been any questions so
Yeah. I can see question. Can you show an example of adding a question? Adding a question.
That was from sourcing.
There was from sourcing. No, I cannot show you how to add a question using the material master because we don't have it enabled in our system. I'm sorry, I cannot show it.
Okay.
Thank you. So we move to...
hold on one sec. One question came in. For the task history report, is this available now?
Yes.
And does it need turned on?
No, it's available for everybody. There's nothing to do.
Okay, so
yeah.
That's good to know.
I'm sure when you go... Yeah, I'm sure if you go to approve a task, your approval... in your approval task in your sourcing project, contract workspace, but I believe it's in SPM project anywhere else. When you go into the task history and click on task history and this icon, then the last option is download PDF.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of covered in that with it meeting thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the last option you could, I believe, see.
Okay.
So what is good, it also shows you the rounds. So everything what is in the history is going. It can be exported. Mm-hmm. And then we have the release package for SAP Ariba Supplier Management. In Supplier Management, one of the feature is the option to keep external supply management questionnaires reopened indefinitely. So when we have this feature adds the keep questionnaire reopened indefinitely setting to survey timing rules for supply management project templates. So when you have the timing rules, when we start, when it's published, how long it runs, 20 days, 20 hours, there's a new setting, parameter, field, keep questionnaire reopened indefinitely, yes, no. You remember when you reopen, it's then reopened based on the parameter, reopen if closed interval, and it's, I believe, one year. So it will ignore this parameter. And what is also important to know is that the setting applies only to new supplier registrations. So performing a template upgrade on existing supplier registration projects will not cause this setting to appear or apply. So we'll need to create a new supplier registration questionnaire so that it can be used. When enabled, the time remaining is no longer displayed when supplier views the questionnaire. I couldn't find the place. We have a problem with our registration questionnaire, but I made some screenshots some time ago. And you could see that when I update the when I request an update for that questionnaire, it is reopens, as we learned just now. And if it's flagged, reopened indefinitely, it is the time for remaining for that questionnaire is not displayed for the supplier. However, at the time when I made this screenshot, it was still for the supplier view available that the questionnaire is opened until year 6102. So somewhere in background and somewhere it is displayed how long the questionnaire is open. For those who have also access, so on the right is a supplier view, on the left is the buyer view or administrator view. When I look at the questionnaire, reopen questionnaire in the advanced view, if you have access to that, of course, it's not bothering, disturbing other users, but me as an administrator, when I look in the advanced view, that I see really that the questionnaire is reopened for a very long period of time. It means for this 4,000 years. All right, but for the regular users who work with the questionnaires, or for the supplier when they open the questionnaire, it really means indefinite time. Then we have also in the supplier lifecycle, when I search for suppliers, and when you come back, what you see, there's nothing in red, so we can needs to be enabled. It's available for you. However, as is described on the slide, it is available only in the new templates. There's another feature which is available for you when I search for suppliers under Supplier Management. I search for supplier or filter using the refined status, and I want to export my suppliers. We have the possibility to export somehow. It can be CSV using commas or some other separator. So now when I click on export, the supplier search result, I'm asked if how I would like to export the supplier list, yeah, how I want to export the search results. All right. And there are many more SLP or additional SLP features. For example, the enhancements to ERP integration, error handling, and error display for supply data. There's an administrator interface change. It introduces an ignore option for integration error messages and a notification settings area to enabling and disabling daily email notifications. There are changes to notifications. We can also, there's a new notification action needed integration confirmation failure message for supply data on certain date, not email notification. Another feature which is available for SLP is retaining pre-populated data in registration questionnaires after template upgrade. So now when you perform a template upgrade, questionnaire items auto-populated due to field mappings or migration from SPQs will retain their values. So the enhancements to the internal supplier requests, and there's also enhancements to internal supplier request, that there's an updated look of the buttons, drop-down menus, calendar choosers, and so on. And there's also type ahead duplicate check, which runs continuously as the user is typing into the field. Of course, it's not only type ahead duplicate check. It requires some setting. You can read more, or you can contact Best Practice Center if you would like to learn more about these features, which are not covered in detail in this presentation. So this was the SLP features. Let me pause my screen and I can look again at chat. There's a question, is there also a solution for suppliers so that they can still see their handed in bids after they have been locked from an event? Suppliers, okay. Now I don't remember. I would need to. So when you lock a supplier, you can lock a supplier because you don't want that particular user participates in that event. Now I don't remember what the screen looks like for the supplier. Do they still? I believe that what you are saying is that the supplier does not have access to the bid history in that particular event. Now I don't remember what the screen looks like, but okay. To answer what you are asking is no. I'm not aware of any feature that is said anything about giving access to events where from which supply was locked. So not that.
Yeah, he
They cannot see bid history.
Yeah. He said yes, the problem is that they cannot see the bid history.
I thought that the bid history, of course, you are talking about locking the supplier. Right, so if the supplier is locked, then not. But if the supplier is not locked, the suppliers always have access to bid history, what they submitted. But of course, if the supplier is locked, yeah, because you are awarding, you don't want to display. I believe this is the situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at supplier, I mean, you're really locking them up, right?
Yeah, they don't have access to the event. And I believe customers want to, or the buyers want to lock the supplier so that the supplier does not see when they go to bid details, when they are awarded, they can see awarded. But if they are not awarded, they see something else. They can see the status. Now I don't remember what is the status, but they can see they were not awarded. So that's completely separate to notifications which go to suppliers, but they can see it in the bid history. No, I don't have any. There's no change in this. Okay, so we can continue to risk. So we have administration interface changes. Of course, if you want to use the risk enrichment, then you need to have a risk enrichment and risk enrichment administration. So this needs to be enabled, and this feature introduces a new option, which is Enrichment Administration. You have a new drop-down menu in the left of the search bar when you see the supplier list. So users with a supplier risk manager group can flag suppliers for enrichment review and or review enrichment candidates for suppliers. So you can see on the supplier risk, I do have here a new option in the menu. Which means that then the Enrichment Administration view contains the same list of suppliers, but allows supplier risk managers to select one or multiple suppliers and then select either Enrichment Administration or mark for review. So the Enrichment Administration presents a list of available candidates for a manual enrichment match. And the other button, Mark for Review, flags the supplier as a to-do for the supplier risk managers that view the Enrichment Administration screen. Then these suppliers will appear at the top of the list. In the Enrichment Administration, is displayed a screen with a horizontal list of potential candidates. So the candidate match score here in this row, and the information that will be included if selected. Users can click the column header for candidate they want to select and click submit for submit to update the supplier with new enrichment details. Now we don't see the option. There's also checkbox to enable auto enrichment, which the system automatically selects the candidate. So if we use the selected for enrichment review, so in the column selected for enrichment review, displays the suppliers and the status for suppliers who have been manually processed or flagged for a review. So we can see here that supplier enrichment review is in process to do in this screenshot. Suppliers which are flagged for review display to-do status and appear at the top, as we have already learned, of the list, when the supplier risk managers enter the Enrichment Administration view. Suppliers with an updated candidate and or marked for auto enrichment displayed in process status. So we do have some advice on the best practices for using Enrichment Administration. You select candidates that have associated incidents. For example, total incidents less than higher than 0. And then if multiple candidates have incidents, select the candidate with the higher match score. If there are still multiple candidates, choose headquarters over a branch location. So this would be for the Enrichment Administration page. There's also features. There are many features in this release on supplier risk. There's ability to edit or cancel engagement requests at any time before final project approval. So this needs to be enabled or is controlled by a parameter, which you can see at the top of the screen, and it allows editing or canceling engagement requests before the final approval phase is completed. So then it means that for users who belong to the group of project owner or supplier risk engagement governance, and supplier risk engagement governance analyst group will see the edit request and cancel request options even after assessments have been sent. However, there's no update to how change significance is evaluated. So changes are significant if they add or remove a control. Changes are insignificant if they do not add or remove a control. And changing the supplier is always treated as a significant change. I will need to make it smaller. Significant change even if no controls are added or removed. And then there is no update if significant changes are retriggered or approval task within the engagement request. Another feature which is available in RISC is the issue assignee team management description. So again, this is controlled by a parameter that you can see at the top of the screen, and it introduces the ability to create a dedicated project room for issue assignees. So assignees in the issue are automatically added to the engagement request project group and can be assigned tasks or as approvers or reviewers. The project group name must be assignees. The parameter above controls whether users in this group are also assigned to the project owner group. So the next would be identification of incomplete supply data in SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. And in this feature presents an eligible for monitoring column in the supplier list on the supplier risk tab and displays a green check for suppliers that are eligible, with those with a red X are ineligible. So again, I need to maybe remove so that we can see the screenshot, yeah, that we have eligible for monitoring or not. So supplier risk managers can click the red cross, and which will present a prompt to enable the supplier for monitoring by third parties. You can see the business is not eligible for monitoring. Click the red cross mark to change eligible monitoring status, as we can see in the screenshot on the corner down. So suppliers that have not been enriched are ineligible for monitoring by default. Then we have another feature, improved risk exposure calculation process. This introduces a new method for calculating risk exposure scores for suppliers that work to balance risk scores for suppliers that have a high score in one area but a low score in others. The system now produces a score using the incident model and another using the supply model. The exposure score reported for the supplier is the higher of the two. The incident model assigns probability scores to specific types of incidents based on how frequently they occur in a realm, a region, for example, and how much impact they have, as would be the severity. It then attempts to estimate the supplier's risk over time. The supply model looks at current geographical issues, disasters, country risk, and so on, financial fillings, bankruptcies, and legal activity to quantify the supplier's current risk. Detailed explanation for how each model is calculated are available in the release guide. We do have three more features in a risk. That will be the enhancement to task in control-based engagement risk assessment projects. It adds the ability to save an in-progress engagement questionnaire instead of being forced to complete it or cancel and lose the data in the questionnaire. So if a group is assigned to the associated to-do task, all the users in the group can collaborate and save their changes prior to submitting. Approvers can now request additional information in addition to approving denying. Requesting additional information retriggers the to-do task associated with the questionnaire. Users can resubmit completed approval task so that approvers can change their decisions. So it is available when the task is denied, and if the task is approved, the engagement can be cancelled instead, so cannot resubmit the task. And we do have, as I said, in the Q3 there were many features available. So the remaining are only in the list. So there's a new post-project approval phase for control-based engagement risk assessment projects, easy identification of evaluation eligible suppliers in SAP Ariba risk. So it adds a supply available for risk evaluation tab on the supply evaluated screen. So it displays a list of suppliers that have met the minimum requirements and have not been submitted for evaluation by third party. There's an enhancement to risk control review, the service reviews, and effective statuses for service level controls, and review pending vendor and service level controls in any engagement risk assessment project that uses them. We do have the presentation of French language adverse media on SAP Ariba supply risk. Then there's an improvement handling of inactive suppliers in SAP Ariba supply risk. So it means that inactive suppliers in supplier management solution no longer appear in the supplier risk supplier list. So when they are inactive in supply management, they will not appear in risk. We focus in risk only on those which we work on, we use. Ability to add engagement risk assessment project owners in the engagement request and on the engagement page, or sharing, or another feature is sharing control level issues and residual risk across engagement risk assessment projects. So that means that the engagement requests now display issues from related projects and the highest residual risk score for any issues linked to the engagement. There's also a new engagement request tab on the risk tile in the Supplier 360 profile, and there's also role-based editability for issues in control-based engagement risk assessment projects. So again, this is to complete the list of features which are available. If you have questions, you want to have a demo, you want to learn more about these features, don't hesitate, contact Best Practice Center if you want to learn more. So this is an overview or introduction to the features. Not everybody uses the risk here, so we took it from the most frequently when you take it sourcing, contracts, SLP, but complete the list also with risk. I'm going to pause sharing and I look at the chat if there are any questions. I don't see any questions if they were sent to everybody.
Yeah, no question has came in. So we are good to go. So I will need to go ahead and open up a poll. So let me go ahead and take over.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will stop sharing. So that Masayo can start the poll. So as always, as we are used to in other webinars, please
okay. The poll question
to
has been open.
in this poll.
Yep. We appreciate
Thank you,
your feedback. Yep. No problem. And also, if you guys have any questions while we are conducting this poll, you can go ahead and unmute yourself by pressing star 6, I believe. Yes, star 6. Then you can go ahead and ask your question, and we can go ahead and answer. There's one question that came in, but is this webinar recorded? Yes, it has been recorded, and it will be available at the 1st of next month at the www.ariba.com. And the webinar slide will be sent to you after this meeting. Okay,
in the email that I'm going to send to you. So when you logged into this WebEx today, you had to put your name and email address. I'm going to use these email addresses in the email. So I'm going to send to you this presentation and a link where you find this recording. If you don't know our website, there are many other recordings, of course, from the previous releases. There are also recordings about supplier risk, about SLP, about contract sourcing, about, templates and so on. Of course, procurement, buying, invoicing as well. So this link that you get from me takes you directly to this website with all our recorded webinars. You can watch the webinars for free, of course. Not of course, but you can watch them for free. They are available only on, you don't have to register, you don't have to type in anything, you only watch them. If you want to work with Best Practice Center, you can reply to my email, you can ask your customer executive if you are a customer, if you have hours, if you have available this service or not, or if you want to know more, you contact Best Practice Center if you want to know more. Maybe you don't have, so you have available these webinars which are recorded. You can also ask for dedicated or one-to-one sessions, or if you have particular questions about your, supplier, awarding, what the suppliers can see, setting up your events, contact Best Practice Center.
Yep. Okay. We have about 2 minutes left for the poll. So if you haven't done, please, go on and answer 5 quick questions. It doesn't take you more than 20 seconds. So we really appreciate your participating in the poll. And also, if you have questions, please go ahead and unmute yourself by pressing star 6. And we'll be here to answer your questions.
Or if you're asking why we are going this release overview now in October when it was released already in August, that's only our because of our planning, but we are going to improve next year or with the next release so that it is available. This demo or presentation is available closer to the date when the release is released, when the release is available. When the features are released or when the release is available, right? So that is closer and not questioning yourself, what was Lucas and Massa talking about? Is this the summer or the autumn features?
Okay, we have about 10 more seconds, so it's going to be our last call. If you have any questions, please go ahead and press *6 and unmute yourself so we can go ahead and assist you with your question. Okay, the poll has ended. Well, if you guys don't have any, well, okay, hold on one second. There's one question came in here.
I see.
Yeah.
I can see a question. If the task history, approval task history is visible also on the DocuSign task. I do not know. I would have to look at that. It explicitly, well, I'm trying to find in the wording what it says. It says that the feature is available with approval task, right? We can check. I can check and I can put it in the email if the signature is there.
Tasks, though, I don't think there is a history of it, is it? I'm not recording seeing that, so.
I got disconnected from my.
Okay. I'm not logged on to account, so I can't.
I'm logging in, but I'm not sure I will find. I would need to find an contract with a signature. If I did not call it nice signature contract tests, I would not be able to find it. Let me. I would have to try.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, we'll go ahead and follow up with you. Maybe, Prakash can go ahead and send out what he found with the deck that he'll be sending out later on. So. Okay. We'll go ahead and follow up. So thank you so much for joining us with today's webinar, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah, it is there. It is there. I can see it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I found I was lucky. I click on one contract that I have, and if you want me, well, I'm not presenter, but it's really there. So when I go into the signature task, I go to the history, task history, I click on the small icon, and the last option is download PDF. Yeah.
Okay.
It is in signature task as well. But I can put it in the email, in case.
Yeah, and also these features that Lucas covered today, they are already released. So it is, available in the system at this point. So, all right? Yeah,
they are already available. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
The leader has dropped from the call, and if the leader doesn't dial back in and